Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. I always tell you how I like to have fun, so today I decided we're going to have a small amount of fun together. As you know, it was recently Easter. I'm sure your kids got awesome things in their Easter basket. Maybe their bunny rabbit is getting bigger. Maybe their duck is getting bigger. Maybe they're already tired of their Easter toys, but I'm not tired of mine, just so you know. Today, we're going to be talking about teaching your child initiative, which is developing and carrying through on an idea or a plan. Lots of people have great ideas. I'm sort of an idea person myself, and yet they have a hard time developing it and carrying it out. So, teaching your child initiative is in a really important spot in my own personal life and for your child. I'm going to talk to you about how to make that happen and what that looks like. And I hope that you really enjoyed today's episode. I'm not going to wear my glasses the whole time because I think maybe it'll be distracting for you. Someone will come on here and go, wow, thought this woman was having a serious conversation about parenting. And what in the world is this? At least I would hope they would come in here and think that. So I'll take them off at some point just to surprise you. And I might have glitter on my face afterwards, and that's okay. You know, one of the big things about initiative is taking personal responsibility. Sometimes at work, people will have a project or people will have this great idea, and their manager will say, go ahead, go for it. And they'll get started. And then when it doesn't go well, or they hit a snag, or things are hitting problems, they'll try to find somebody somewhere to blame it all on, even if it's the universe. A big thing in initiative is taking personal responsibility. So sometimes when we make a plan, sometimes when we have an idea, it goes really great and it accomplishes really great things. Sometimes when we make a plan or we have a really good idea, it doesn't go the way we anticipated, or maybe even sometimes it'll cause problems. We don't want to take responsibility for that, but we really need to. So we have to know that sometimes when we take initiative and we have a plan or an idea and we start to put it into action, it doesn't go quite the way we want. We have to take responsibility for those unexpected results and sometimes even the unexpected long-term consequences. I'll describe that to you in the parenting context. You might hand your kid a video game or a phone or an iPad or whatever when he's 2 years old, which his mind can't even handle that yet. As I already told you, a kid under 5 really doesn't need to have any kind of that stuff in his hand. It affects his mind and his ability to learn, negatively, I might add. But you've already done it. So you took initiative in keeping your kid occupied and giving your kid what you thought was a great thing and some kind of educational games, and you took that initiative. You didn't understand that it was going to have long-term consequences in terms of how long his attention span would last or how effective it was going to be in his capacity to learn. You took initiative, but you didn't really understand the long-term consequences, and you have to take responsibility for that. And all of us do. All right, let's talk straight here. All right, so one of the things in taking initiative for a kid is when your kid keeps showing up in front of your face and he goes, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored. I want to watch TV, I want to watch a movie, I want to play on my video games, because he doesn't have anything to do with his mind or no kind of creative process. You need to look at him and you need to give him this initiative. You need to teach him how to do this, and you need to say, you need to find something to do. You need to call up a friend. You need to invite someone over. You need to read a book. You need to start working on a science project that you've known about for 3 days now. So start looking online about what you want to do for your science project. If I look on there and you're working on something else, you're going to lose your iPad for a week. So make sure you're actually looking at your science project stuff. You need to go outdoors and play. You need to do something. That child needs to take initiative, develop a plan or an idea, and act on it. That's taking initiative, okay? When a child says, I'm so hungry, I'm so hungry, I'm so hungry, and they're 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, say, well, you have the opportunity to get yourself something to eat. Whether you make, ramen noodles in the microwave, or whether you make yourself a bologna sandwich, or whether you get an apple with peanut butter, take the initiative, get yourself something to eat. You need to give your child the initiative in places when he has a complaint. I'm not kidding you. That's a really big one. Then the other thing you have to know is that when you really take initiative, you relieve pressure and stress on other people. If your spouse has a really high pressure job and they're in the middle of a really big project at work, They're working 60, 70 hours a week and they're about ready to lose their mind. You need to take the initiative in doing something that is going to alleviate the pressure or the stress over their life. So you might make them really great lunches and two snacks in addition to all of that to take with them to work so they don't have to stop in the middle of it and try to grab something to eat and probably something that isn't healthy or something that isn't the better choice. You take the initiative to be of help. You make a plan and you carry it out and you say, "Here, honey, I think this will really help." Or they're just losing their minds, so they're so busy they haven't had time to vacuum the floor or throw in a load of laundry. Or your husband, he hasn't had time to cut the grass or trim the edges of the sidewalk. You take the initiative. You do something to cover for them. You develop this idea and you implement it. You carry it out. And so you relieve stress and you relieve pressure over someone else's life by taking initiative. You can definitely teach that one to your child. They have a brother or sister who's in the midst of something really tough. Like we're going to say, your son has an older sister who's a cheerleader and she's in the middle of basketball final. She has so many responsibilities in addition to her homework and every other thing. Maybe it's her week to do the dishes and sweep the floor after dinner. You can encourage your child to take the initiative and be really helpful and say, "I'm not doing this forever, just so you know. But for this week, while you're really busy, I'm going to develop a plan. And that plan is I'm going to do the dishes and I'm going to sweep the floor. And that way, when you get home from this basketball game and it's late and you're tired and you still have homework, you don't have to look at this too. I'm going to carry through with this just to make life easier for you and reduce some of the pressure or some of the tension." That's a great way to teach initiative to your child. It also teaches familial cooperation. You care about someone, you cooperate with them in getting things done when they're really busy or they're really taxed and they have so many obligations and they have to meet them. And it isn't forever, but it's for a little while. That's a really good way to teach initiative to a child. Another thing that initiative does is it gives personal assurance of the outcome. Again, when you're working on a project with a whole bunch of people, some of those people might be slackers. They may not follow through. They may not meet their commitments. They may not do what they committed to do. You don't have any responsibility about that. And frankly, you don't have any control over that. We know that can be really frustrating for a child and really oppose that child's personal sense of justice, like it just isn't right, which it isn't. It's absolutely the truth. We all know that. And yet, it's part of life and it happens. So you teach that child when you take initiative, you have a certain level of control over the outcome of it. You have personal control. So you develop this idea, you start to develop this project. We'll say you're going to build a tree house. Okay. So your child, the dad goes to Lowe's or Home Depot or Menards, wherever they go, and they've got the boards and they've got the tools and they've got the nails and they've straightened out the branch and they have everything ready and they get started. But your child gets home from school at 3 o'clock and your husband doesn't get home from work till 5:30, and he has the initiative to say, "Mom, I really want to go out there and work on my treehouse, and it's far enough along that the baseboards have been laid down. I know how to do this. Can I do this?" Well, of course, we understand it depends on his age, but he's 12 or 13 years old, and he certainly has control over his outcome because this is his treehouse. He doesn't want it to look junky or stupid. Let him take the initiative and go out there and work. If your daughter says, "Mom, I need cupcakes tomorrow for my homeroom class for this party that we're going to have for Valentine's Day," and she's 13 or 14 years old, let her have the initiative. Say, "Go ahead. If you need me, I'll help you, but you know your way around the kitchen. You understand what you're supposed to do. You go right ahead and make those cookies or make those cupcakes." She has personal control over the outcome. And so notice also she has personal responsibility. She gets busy on the phone and she burns them because she left them in and she didn't listen to the timer. That's not you. That was hers. And yet, if she's conscientious and she turns on the timer and she sits in the kitchen while they're going, she has a personal assurance of the outcome. So instead of yelling at you and saying, "Mom, I told you to put in pink food coloring," this is on her. If she says, "Mom, I told you I wanted those little heart sprinkle things on the top of the icing," this is for her. So when you really do take the initiative appropriately, You have some control over the outcome. You have a personal assurance of how it's going to go. Encourage your kids to take the initiative. Another thing that happens is making wise and quick responses. Okay? So someone says to you, I see you have this idea. Do you think that's a good idea? If you've really thought it out and you know that it is, you can say, oh, yes, absolutely. A wise and a quick response. Let me tell you, if you have doubts, if your child has doubts, it was like, I'm not really sure if this is a good idea. I was gonna paint my bike silver, and I just don't know how well that's gonna cover up navy blue. And so if you're sitting there with all these doubts and you're really vacillating back and forth and you can't make a wise, quick response, maybe it's not a good decision. And so sometimes initiative can get you into trouble. Let me give you an example. There was a young lady, and her dad told her, if you ever need help with something, getting somewhere, taking care of something, let me know. She decided she was going to do it herself. She took the initiative. Oh my word, she ruined, I mean, really ruined this project. Cost thousands of dollars. It's really not relevant what the project was, but sometimes when we take initiative, things don't go the way we want, and it's a failure. And we do have to take personal responsibility for that. And actually, she did. She was pretty good at that. She said, oh, I really messed this up, and I didn't listen to you. And it was a hard lesson, but it was a good lesson. She found out that the reason that her dad had given her instructions to ask for help was because she actually really needed help in certain areas, and all of us do. So if your child takes initiative and they mess something up, they really ruin something, even if it's kind of a costly thing, don't despair, because that's a great lesson for a young person to find out that sometimes things don't go well. Sometimes we have problems. Sometimes we have outright failures, and it is okay to do that. Don't beat yourself up when things don't go great. Definitely don't beat up your kids. Humans make mistakes. Allow that to happen. So teach your child initiative. There's nothing like coming up with a great idea, developing it, drawing out that tree house, drawing out that beautiful dress that you wanted to make, and then starting the process of ways to tackle that thing and possibilities of what to do, lace to add on the collar, a really cool frame around that window, and working on that and carrying it out, and in the end, having something really worthwhile to look at and say, wow, I did this. I thought of this. I carried this through. I'm so proud of myself. This is amazing. So teach your child initiative. Teach them the value and, frankly, the joy and the self-satisfaction of developing an idea and carrying it all the way through. If you have questions about this, or you have any concerns, or you've had things that have gone great or things that have gone badly, please let me know in the comments, or feel free to send me an email, and I will be happy to communicate with you. My challenge question for you today is this: am I a person who initiates things? And how am I doing at teaching my child initiative? I hope that you're feeling brave after this conversation that we've just had, and that you're going to initiate some great ideas in how you're raising your children, and you will encourage your child to be a child of initiative. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great having you with me. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.